Hello, I've had a stupid idea again. I'll say it, I'm a maximalist. I love having stuff that I like around me. When there is an opportunity to make stuff that would otherwise just rot in a box sort of fit in and be nicely displayed in my surroundings instead, I will take that. I mean, I did build an entire display case from scratch for my 2005 Sonic the Hedgehog Happy Meal toys. So now you have intimate knowledge of my character, and I've been getting the itch to do that again. Name's Tommy, by the way, just in case you needed to know that as well. Welcome! Do love a good pencil. Never not had any pencils around me. And every once in a while, mostly when I'm in a museum and I just cannot resist the souvenir shop, I buy myself a nice special and probably overpriced one. Let's do the thing, shall we? Really do have the ear shape for it. Anyways, so far I think I have like 3 very special pencils. I've been keeping my special pencils just where I've been keeping all my pencils in like a little tube on the side of my desk. Because I actually do use them. That tube of pencils has just been filling up and it's been getting a bit tight, so I thought maybe I could take the special ones out of that and put them on the wall in a little nice display thing. It should just be like a back plate and then just like, I don't know, something coming out the front that I can put the pencil on top of. And ideally it should be modular, sort of, where I can make like one of these back plates again and again and attach them to each other if ever I need to attach one more pencil to the special pencil wall display shelf thing. So I'm gonna put on my engineering cap and get to work. So I set out to draw a template, which was a very messy process. Lucky for me, pencils are erasable. And then when I finally got it and thought that I had all the moving parts down and it should work like that, it was time to do a more clean version that I could actually work with. And now we're here. Changed the shapes of everything around a lot. Let me explain. First off, materials. I got a big box of this stuff a while ago. A4 1.5mm thick cardstock, essentially, that I actually got to make a particular miniature out of. That'll have to wait until the new year, I fear. And as much as I like being a raccoon about things and just making stuff from trash or whatever I already have lying around, didn't want things to be warped or slightly off, so I just got some, you know, new and pristine cardstock. It would be perfect for this as well. This stuff, not crazy thick, so I'm gonna double it. It's just the tiniest bit flexible. So my goal ultimately is to find a design that I can ideally make one of those out of one of these. So that if I ever have to make a new one and attach it at the bottom, I can just use one of these sheets and I'm good. This is my template for the back all cut out. This part up here is basically gonna be behind this lower part, unlike the next one. Is there a right word to use when you're like stacking but downwards instead of upwards? Well, if it exists, I don't have it right now, so we're gonna have to work without it. That's about where the pencil's gonna go. One part in the front, gonna have a hole in the middle that I can push the front of the pencil through. Not quite the circumference of your average pencil, so it doesn't go all the way through. And then we're gonna have this tiny little shelf attachment thing in the back that I can then rest the back part of the pencil on. Now comes the really fun part, because as I mentioned, I am gonna use my pencils. This isn't one of the special ones, by the way. It just is also kind of fun. They're gonna get shorter with time. So I thought, wouldn't it be neat if this like back shelf part that they rest on is movable? So hopefully I figured out a mechanism that is gonna do that. But you never know in how many ways things can get jammed until, you know, you actually got the physical thing in front of you. I already cut out one of the base things out of this part of the sheet and then glued it down. Gotta cut around that again. I thought about gluing it together before I cut anything. Like, it's okay to get through this with the X-Acto knife, but it's not exactly like cutting butter. Easier than having to like go over it 10 times until I'm finally through. For these smaller pieces, I did actually glue the 2 layers together first and then cut it out. Didn't feel like doing the complicated shapes twice, I think. But getting through that with the small little X-Acto knife and around the corners, perhaps impossible, definitely a nightmare. So I had a different idea and got out these very, very small saw strings. That's not the word. Sägeblätter. One of these. If you've ever taken a woodworking class in any capacity, you will be familiar with the game. And then I just got like the teeny tiniest one of those. You may think it's a bit oversized for this purpose, and I would be inclined to agree with you, and I could swear I have like a smaller one around somewhere. But either I'm not seeing it where all the other saws are, or I've misplaced it, or misremembered it. At least that can like rest on your arm comfortably, you know? So I'm not too mad at it. It works really well, except for the fact where there's like, not wood dust, but cardboard dust, which is also essentially derived from wood, isn't it? Going everywhere. And I'm already having flashbacks to my woodworking project from a couple videos ago. So just hoping it doesn't get stuck in my eyelashes this time. Maybe I should, I don't know, put on the protective glasses. Then I just need to try out this mechanism thing. The part that I cut out of here, like the doubled strip thing, cut like a way smaller bit from that and pop that back in here. A little bit of a bigger back plate that goes directly behind that in the back. Glue those together, and then to the small strip in the front I glue my little shelf holder thing, and then I can hopefully at the end just slide that back and forth. I think the biggest problem is accounting for how I'm gonna paint this, because there still needs to be like enough wiggle room with the added layers of paint between this like smaller thing and the cutout in the base plate, so that it can still move without too much trouble, you know? So aside from having to pick up and still find bits and pieces from this project for the foreseeable future, months. I'm guessing months. It's going well. Almost done with the second back plate that's pressing back there. I've just been cutting out the pieces that are gonna stick out front. I've been thinking maybe I could add a little bit more pizzazz to these. For this piece, for example, roughly drawing out like another shape on top of that. This part, cut a piece that's shaped like that, add one of these on each side, make the base a little bit wider, adds a little bit of interest and dimension to it. Oh, a blade. That's what that's called. Don't you just love it when words escape you at critical moments and then they just pop up later? Like thinking of the perfect comeback, 2 hours too late. The pieces are cut. If not, I will probably only notice at a later point in time. I shaped the very top one a little differently so that I can just hang this on like one hook. So now that I got all the parts, I need to start worrying about how I'm gonna paint them. I was obviously thinking about just painting them black. I'm always thinking about that. Shout out the Rolling Stones. However, 2 of my fancy museum pencils are almost completely black already. So I don't know, I think there should maybe be a little bit of contrast there. Maybe like a dark brown, black on the edges. I also thought about maybe doing a little bit of a design here and there and adding some gold. Don't really know the direction yet. I'm just gonna start walking and hope a path forms. I've decided to cut out the holes in these with the saw as well, because I'm gonna be gluing those side bits over most of that anyway, so it's fine. Fun one, isn't it? Turns out a path did form, and I like where I ended up with the paint job. I like the dark brown. I think that's enough of a contrast to the black pencils. And I sort of didn't mix the color fully and first did like the edges of everything in complete black, so now it's got like a dimensional thing going on and it makes it look wooden. Love the gold details. In fact, for those I used this like fake key. Ordered a bunch of those many years ago. Used exactly 2, I think. Been around ever since. Story of my life, truly. I thought maybe I could use one of those somehow for a design pattern thing, and I did use this one as a stamp. Some gold paint on there, press it on, voila, design. I should maybe keep that key separate so that I do remember the exact one if I ever do need to make more of these. Some of these shelf things are a bit, you know, harder to move than the others. Hang on. But all of them do work. I did extensive testing. It does work though. For the parts where they attach, I was actually gonna use those little stationary things that have like that little gold button at the front. And you can like bend apart the metal bits in the back. Do not know the English word for those. Should probably look that up. At least at one point had some somewhere, but I have searched everywhere and I cannot find them at this current moment. If I buy some new ones, they will turn up, so I'm holding out. Maybe we'll cross paths sometime soon, you know. For now, it's just thumbtacks holding these together, but it gets a look across that I had in mind. Also, if you can see that from the side, I was planning on that, but I wasn't quite sure how well it was gonna work out. Because of the thickness of the individual backplates and having them overlap in parts. Backplate is never going to be flush to the wall, but instead at a slight angle, which frees up the back part of the little shelf thing. So that isn't pressed to the wall, and the mechanism works way better that way. A small and perhaps unnecessary detail, but it is nice nonetheless. Would also be really sick in like a little reading nook, and then you can just take one off and do annotations with it. Really fun concept as well. 4 George M videos, 1 Memulous, Gabby Bell video on Fast and Furious, 1 Late Night Dylan, Friendly Space Ninja video on the worst TV show finals, A Modern Day Distraction by Jake Buck, and the radio. I love making kind of completely pointless but still useful stuff like this. No clue yet what's gonna go on the memory wall because I do need all the template bits for, you know, the future. So that's it for now. The next thing is probably gonna be Christmas themed in some capacity. So I'll see you then, I hope. Rock on or whatever. Goodbye.